Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
I absolutely am not putting the Eagles on upset alert. I believe that the Eagles are playing extremely well right now. And something that's underrated that's also happened since the bye was inserting Cooper DeJean at the nickel position. Yep. They were struggling with slot coverage. I believe that he solidified that position. Quinyon Mitchell playing extremely well. And offensively, they're just so explosive right now, being able to beat you in multiple ways.
Ryan Clark says, no way! The Eagles are not on upset alert against this Jacksonville Jaguars team. Birds are a 7.5-point favorite in the game. That number has not been kind to them in this situation. Eagles are 0-9 against the spread in their last 9 games when they're favored by at least 4 points. They're favored by 7.5 in the game. 3 straight wins against this Jaguars outfit that has given up 28 points per game, tied for the third most in the NFL. It's a Sal Pao Friday on the Sports Bash. Sal Pao, are the Eagles on upset alert or nah, this is the Jags. Keep it calm, Mike Gill.
This is just the great Mike Gill. How are you today? I don't think the Eagles are on upset alert. I agree with Ryan Clark. And by the way, Ryan Clark must be listening to the Mike Gill show because you and I have been talking about Cooper DeJean for 3 weeks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's really added to this defense. By the way, he can tackle. Cherish the thoughts, Sal Pao, man. He can tackle.
Yes, he's a very good tackler, and he's a real sharp player, and he's a great addition.
All right, let's take a look at some of the particulars in this game. It's not the most exciting game. It's not the sexiest game, but these are the kind of games you need to sell. And what are some of the things we've seen over the last 3 wins that they need to keep building on this week to kind of take them from, this 5-2 team to a 6-2 team that we now trust and believe more in?
Well, Mike, when we first started this stretch, you and I talked about the fact that this was this possibility of winning these 4 games and going 4-0 was a real juicy possibility if they did certain things, and they've done those things. And whenever you're going into week 9/week 8, now that it's a 17-game set schedule, and you want to separate yourself from the pack and you want to bring it home for a playoff game, you got to do 3 things, in my opinion. In my experience covering the NFL and talking to you on this show. Number 1, the quarterback can't turn the ball over. And Jalen Hurts has gotten that together. He's gotten his act together. 3 games without a turnover. That's number 1. Number 2, look at the most important statistic, points allowed. It's like team ERA in baseball. If your team ERA is great in baseball, if it's somewhere hovering in the 2.3 or 2.4 or 3.0 range, you're going to win a lot of baseball games. If your points allowed is 16, 17 points allowed per game, you're going to win a lot of football games because your offense should be able to score 3 times against most NFL teams. So points allowed has come way down. We'll talk about that for a second, about how it's happened. And number 3, rushing attempts. I'm not talking about rushing yards. I'm talking about rushing attempts, volume. Are you committed to running the ball? And the Eagles are committed to running the ball because, in my view, they have the best back in the NFC, second only to Derrick Henry in the league right now. And the 1-2 punch of Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley is really overwhelming to teams. It was demoralizing. Mike, last week, the Bengals were demoralized. You could just tell. The body language was like, oh, my God, these guys are relentless.
Yeah.
Eagles scored on every possession in the second half. And look at the tape. Look at how they're running the ball. Barkley up the middle. Barkley to the left on that sweep led by Cam Jurgens a la Jason Kelsey. Barkley breakaway speed, 21.9 miles an hour, second only to Derrick Henry. And that's a guy who's got a lot of wear on his tires. He's got a lot of mileage, Saquon Barkley. And his miles per hour is way up there, better than anybody else in the NFC. So Those are the three things you got to be able to do to bring it home, and the Eagles are doing it.
Yeah, you mentioned the turnover thing. That was in my notes for this conversation. No turnovers the last 3 games. Hurts, no turnovers the last 3 games. 7 in his first 4. 3 straight starts without a turnover. How has he and how have they fixed this problem that they had early that we were talking? They got to stop the turnovers. They're turning the ball over. He had this long streak going, and that is now over. Circumstance, or if they coach stuff out of him, what do you see there?
It is difficult to actually pinpoint 1 or 2 reasons. I think they made it a point of emphasis. Jalen Hurts made it a point of emphasis. Now, his sacks are still there, although I don't think he was sacked last week, right? He was not sacked last week. But he's holding on to the ball just a touch longer, taking a sack if he has to, but he's not going to throw an interception. He's very cognizant of it. And if you remember, you and I were talking one, everybody was saying, it's okay if he's aggressive and he turns the ball over. No, it's not. It's not. Those people who are putting that out there, that's no good. You don't want the quarterback turning the ball over.
Sal, there's a lot, made of they've been max protecting a lot more. Jack Stoll is, kind of come in and helped out. They use the running back. They're protected with 7. So you're right. Jalen's not. It's not like he's getting the ball out of his hand any faster. He's just getting better protection and then delivering the ball to guys that are open. And then the one guy is A.J. Brown. When he plays, they're averaging 29.8 points per game. When he's out, 17. But you talked about the run. It's not as sounds how much A.J. Brown being on the field, the attention he draws, changes the dynamic and opens everything up for this team.
Everything gets opened up because you have to double team that guy in certain situations. If you don't have the one-on-one matchup with a DB that you like, it changes everything. And just think about it. He hasn't had Dallas Goedert. And Calcaterra has stepped in nicely. Why? Because the scheme is there. The scheme is there. And Jalen did not turn the ball over last week, and he also did something else last week. He also threw the ball between the numbers, which he hasn't done very much. And that was impressive. Mm-hmm. Overall, I would say his game is as good right now as it was when they went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And I realized, okay, everybody's kind of rolling their eyes right now who's listening in the car somewhere on Route 9 or the Garden State Parkway or the AC Expressway listening to your show, and they're like, Sal, come on. I mean, the tape doesn't lie. Now, all right, they played the Browns, the Bengals, and the Giants, and now they got the Jaguars. It's not, it's not the Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo. It's not the Vikings and Brian Flores. So it's not one of the top defenses in the league. But if you want to get right, they're doing it the smart way.
Yeah.
Max protect, volume in the run game, quarterback protects the football.
It's a interesting dynamic, Sal. This team has not scored in the first quarter still. And one of the recipes for running the ball and attempts is getting a lead so that you can run the clock out. And the Eagles have gotten these leads, and that obviously adds to the rushing attempts. But you wonder if that could be the formula if they cannot get off to a quicker start at some point. Or does that quick start not matter if you are winning football games?
No, the quick start matters. You want the team to get off to a quick start. Why? Because if you get the lead and you force teams to throw the football, then your pass rush will be bad.
There you go. And this team's pass rush, do we trust it yet? Are we trusting the pass rush? Do we trust it if they have to get the stop, 3rd down and 9, big situation, maybe not a sack, but a hurry? Do we trust them enough, or is this – this stretch of opponents not giving us enough detail?
No, I think it will get helped if they get out in an early lead and the other teams have to throw the ball. Your pass rush will always look better. I like some of the blitzes that Vic Fangio has dialed up, specifically with Cooper DeJean coming in off the slot. I think that's smart.
Yep.
Nakobe Dean has been doing some nice stunts. They've sent some extra players at the quarterback. The blitz rate is still pretty low overall, but it's up, and they're blitzing in perfect situations. But You got to get an early lead so that you can unleash the pass rush. That's just basic football.
Well, I'll tell you what. They got the pass rush last week had one. I think Nolan Smith got a sack, if memory serves. They had 7 hits of the quarterback against Cincinnati. We'll see what they do against this Jacksonville team, which we know has really struggled, and they got some injuries. But, man, Sal, when we talk next week, how many points should this offense be able to put on the board against this Jacksonville defense?
This Jacksonville defense, it leads the league in giving up explosive plays.
And Philly leads the league in getting explosive plays.
Not a good combination if you're Doug Peterson. I was on earlier this week with a radio station in Jacksonville, and they were like, do you think Doug sort of makes the trip back, or does he go back to Morristown, New Jersey after the game is over? And I'm like, come on, guys, give me a break. First of all, I'm not going to say anything bad about Doug. He's my guy. But they've had some injuries in the secondary, and they've got 17 touchdown passes that they've surrendered, which is last in the National Football League. And the quarterback has been very inconsistent. They expected much more out of Trevor Lawrence. They gave him a big deal, and he's been, what is he doing? He's turning the ball over. You can't have it. You just can't have it. And your quarterback, you can't survive that if you're not buttoned up on defense. Why did the Kansas City Chiefs survive all the interceptions for Patrick Mahomes? Because Steve Spagnuolo's defense has been lights out, buttoned up.
Well, I'll tell you what, you get games throughout the course of the year. You only get 17 of them, and some of them are not as exciting. This one has that feel to it. This Jacksonville team has really struggled. But, so they did have expectations, this team. So that's why sometimes it's one of these teams like the Jets last night. There's a team that had expectations. Everybody counts them out. And then last night they finally kind of win and save their season. Can Doug Peterson get this Jacksonville team where they just not have enough talent right now as constructed to travel on the road and kind of find a path to victory?
They're not playing consistently enough, Mike.
Yeah. Well,
they just are not.
And that was the problem with the Jets until I don't think the Jets played well last night. I think Houston just played very poorly.
That was a weird thing. It's so hard to win on the road on Thursday nights. And they've got some injuries at the wide receiver position, so they're not as an explosive team. And so, when you don't have wide receivers getting open and you have a team like the Jets that can rush the passer, your quarterback's going to be in harm's way. I thought, we're obviously off on a tangent here, but I thought that D'Amico Ryans and Bob Slowick, the offensive coordinator, did a very poor job of anticipating just how much they would have to protect C.J. Stroud. Mike, I can't say this enough. When you get to November 1st, we are at November 1st. When you get to November 1st, you got to protect your quarterback, and your quarterback has to protect the football. So if you don't protect the football and you're turning it over, and you don't protect your quarterback and you get him knocked out of the game or he gets injured, then you're no good for anybody.
Right.
You can't make the playoffs that way. I look at this Eagles team right now, and they needed some get-right games against some easier opponents, and that's what they got. But last week, again, not easy to go on the road against a team that needed a win, had to have a win, and they absolutely just eviscerated them, demoralized them, put up 37 points. So in the last 3 weeks, their points scored have gone from 20 to 28 to 37, the last 2 on the road. I'd be shocked if the Eagles don't get 35 points on Sunday.
35, yeah, that's a good number there. This team gives up 28 points a game, third most in the NFL. They give up like 380 points, and you mentioned it last week. You had it on Sal Pal, ESPN on the Instagram, the big explosive plays for the Eagles. We got another one last week. Devontae had a big one, 45 yards. So we'll see if they can get a bunch of big plays, bunch of scores. Should have a little fun. Doug Peterson back in the building. A little Kelly Green. Are you a Kelly Green or a Midnight Green guy there, Sal?
Oh, I like the Kelly Green.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I actually like the white uniforms with those white helmets back in the 60s.
I like the white helmets, too. Yes, I do like those ones.
I would love those. Anyways, I kind of like them winning this game 35-20, although they only get up 16, 3, and 17 the last 3 games. I don't know. 35-17 sounds about right in this football game.
Well, that would go against the ATS there, 0-9 when they are a more than 4-point favorite in their last 9 games. They're actually 4-5 outright in those games. So hopefully that streak gets snapped this week against the Jacksonville. The Eagles
I wish I was in Ocean City this week. The weather must have been unbelievable.
It's breathtaking down here right now. You get yourself a nice.
I know. I've been getting texts from Johnny G at Griner Team at Burger Realty in Ocean City saying, "When are you coming down?" So hey, it's the middle of the football season. I'm a little busy.
Well, you just said it's November 1st, and I was almost like, wait, what? Because of the weather, right?
The weather.
Well, you're right. November 1st means those preseason, regular season games are over now. And I'll tell you, Sal, this is what we talked about earlier today. This is the last game other than Carolina on your schedule where, they're a little down. Most of the games the rest of the way, everybody is talented enough to knock you off. And that includes Dallas twice. Maybe the Giants at the end. But this game here, that's why you have to have it, because then it gives yourself a little chance to have a game down the road where you can slip up. But you can't have a slip up down the road if you slip up in this game.
The way I hear it from NovaCare and what I'm hearing is they're in lockdown mode. They are in serious lockdown mode. They're feeling extremely confident. And right now, they just want to take care of business. They're grinding through it. They realize where their mistakes were. They're listening to Vic Fangio. The practices are longer. They're obviously getting coached up hard on tackling. The addition of Cooper DeJean has been tremendous. But it really has emanated from, in my view, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and Vic Fangio. I think those are the 3 guys that have really put the hammer down. And I think it starts with the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. And that's why you see him so committed to making sure that, A, we're not going to turn the ball over. And B, we're going to lean on 26, whatever it takes. Barkley. It's got to be Barkley.
Lean on 26 in the big plays. Right. Lean on 26 and the big plays will come in the pass game.
Without a doubt. You got them safeties sniffing down there and thinking, okay, I'm going to take out 26 and he rolls over you. It's demoralizing. Really is. Thanks to Johnny G, by the way, for supporting this radio station and supporting all my friends and family down in Ocean City. Does such a great job.
Well, of course, it's a Sal Pal Friday here on the Sports Bash, and we will do it again. By the way, when we come back on Friday, Howie make a move, or is this team okay? Trader
Howie, got to make a move.
All right.
Got to make a move. He'll make some kind of move. He will. What have you and I been screaming about for like the last 4 months?
Right. You got to get some pass rush, but the thing is.
Yeah, but they don't grow on trees. That's right. The problem.
That's the problem.
And, Detroit's also in the market for one. So, Detroit's the team you're going to have to face somewhere down the road. So, they're in the market for a pass rusher. So things suddenly got a little more expensive.
All right, man. Well,
I always got to cash in some chips.
Looking forward to you on the matchup show and everything else this weekend. Another Sal Pal Friday in the books. Eagles, Jacksonville. You can listen to the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Sal Paolantonio, everybody. Thanks, Sal.
Thank you, Michael.